it's like the emperor's new clothes.
Yeah, I look at this. Look, I've worked in the grocery industry, studied it, understand it. There was a bean counter in Mobile, Alabama, that studied the population in Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, and the state of Louisiana, and plus or minus 3 months, he could tell you when a store would be successful there. So when his graph said we're getting close to there, then they send the front people in and start scouting and looking.
Sure.
And
let me bring up something else on the other side of this military issue, because I would say it is legitimate to say that if you protect, quote unquote, if you buy up the land around a base, you probably stand a good chance of, you're going to improve your chances of that base perhaps not being pulled,
right.
if vis-a-vis it becoming an issue of the neighbors complaining.
Right.
Okay, that issue, yes, that protection effort is going to work. However, what we've seen, because all of this stuff has been conducted in secret, with these base protection efforts and all this other stuff, what we've seen is in some cases, not every property around there, not every case, but
right.
in numerous cases, and if you look at the properties around Whiting Field, who are now positioned to be purchased at what we've seen are enormous amounts of money by
right.
the federal government.
Right.
Certain well-connected people have spent the last couple years buying up those properties.
Right.
Those very selected, perfect properties around Whiting Field. Where'd they get that information from?
Right.
Do you think?
And look, we looked at a lot of these. Some of those properties had been held by the same owner for 10 or 12 years.
Yes.
That doesn't raise a flag to me. Some that are bought in 2002 and 2004, I'm just sorry, in my humble opinion,
right.
it makes me wonder a little bit.
Why would you buy property up there, knowing there's a military base right there?
Right.
I mean, what's the investment value?
When we started the process in early 2000 to protect around the base,
yeah.
you would know that your future person to buy this from you would only be county government.
Right.
Or state government, or potentially the federal government.
Yeah.
And of course, as we've outlined on this, we had one piece of property up there that we only bought the developmental rights on.
Yes.
And we paid
although in fairness, that owner owned it before the protection process started.
Right.
However, we paid a fortune for the quote unquote development.
Yeah,
rights.
we paid $10,000 an acre.
Right.
For developmental rights.
We paid through the federal side, and we paid again through
right.
the county
side.
side.
And look, and you make a very good distinction there. That's still my tax dollars that the Navy funneled through their system to pay their 75% share of that.
That is correct.
Still my tax dollars.
That is correct.
It's not free money falling off the tree in Santa Rosa County. It's still our tax dollars that's being spent that way.
Yeah.
Well, look, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. A show and a half on a 9-page email, and just,
and let's go ahead and mention, we'll flash the county commission phone number up there, 983-1877.
Right.
If people are concerned about this shadow government process, if people are concerned about that money,
I think that's a good idea, and I think you need to let your elected officials know what you think about this, ladies and gentlemen. I mean. As we go through this, the big points here is we don't want the commissioners to have representation on our board.
This is what at least one person.
At least one board member.
Which means no representative of the public.
It's our decision if we decide to be a sunshine-based organization.
Right. Of course, that's ridiculous.
No way.
Right.
The county attorney has said.
Yes.
In an open meeting and in an email that you should follow the sunshine law.
That is correct.
Their own attorney, Roy Andrews, has told them you have to be in the sunshine.
Yes.
They continue to buck it. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you why they continue to buck it, but you can sure help us and call this phone number and let your elected officials know what you think about it. Now, Deborah, the Pensacola News Journal kind of picked up on something. Look, I barely graduated high school. It was a struggle for me. But I've gotten pretty good at kind of watching and paying attention to stuff. And I saw on the county commission agenda, we were going to do some renourishment on Navarre Beach.
Yes.
And maybe I'm cynical, I don't know. But the first thing that popped in my head was, I bet a commissioner's going to be involved in this. And certainly it appears to be that way. And I'm going to read a little bit of, this was by Lewis Cooper, Pensacola News Journal. A company owned by Santa Rosa County Commissioner Gordon Gooden could make as much as $275,000 from a county contract, but the county attorney is convinced there is no wrongdoing. Gooden abstained when the county commission voted 4-0 Thursday to solicit requests for proposals to renourish a 1,000-foot stretch of the western end of Navarre Beach eroded by Hurricane Gustav in September of '08. Now, the first thing that I want to say, and I have certainly said this in public before, this may be the first time you've heard this out of me, beach renourishment is a loser. It is a loser in multiple ways. I happened to be at the county commission meeting when the original discussion came up of when we spent over $4 million renourishing Navarre Beach. And the self-proclaimed and had pretty good credentials behind him, he stated that you could expect to lose 50% of what you put up on the beach,
Yeah.
within 1 year.
More if you've got a pass cut to the east,
Yeah.
but that's another story.
Yeah, and I became interested in that, and one of my friends in the South End, they had pulled a professor in from a local university who is actually has a big grant that he's studying wave action, moving sand, shorelines, and all that. And it was interesting. That was the first question that was out there: does beach renourishment work? And his response was a question. He said, "Well, let me ask you this: when you go to the beach and you look down the beach line, do you see a big hunk of sand sticking out into the Gulf of Mexico?" You know, and there was probably 20, 25 people there, and they all said, "Well, no, we've never seen that." He said, "Now let me explain to you the mechanics. The waves come in from the south, they crash upon the beach. The waves will naturally push any knoll that's sticking out back into a straight line into a very short period of time." So with that said, and certainly I may anger some of our multi-million-dollar homeowners on the beach,
Yeah.
I'm sorry if the ocean washes up underneath your carport. It is not the responsibility of the mainlanders. It is not the responsibility of the county government, the state government, nor the federal government to maintain your standard of living. And let me take it a step further. You say, fix the beach for everybody. Well, I tell you what, next weekend, I'll bring my Hobie cat down there, and I want to leave it between your back door and the ocean. And I will bet you that you will pick up the phone, you will call the sheriff's department, and have me arrested for invading your property. And, you know, it's just ridiculous. It's a foolish waste of money.
Could I insert the topic of flood insurance into this discussion?
Exactly, absolutely.
Because we hear from a lot
Well,
of...
and citizens insurance too, covering high risk stuff.
We're subsidizing flood insurance.
Absolutely.
And you know, we hear that a public option is a bad idea for health insurance because it's quote unquote socialist. And I wonder how many of the people who are against socialist government subsidized health insurance, I wonder how many of those people have a beachfront home that's got public flood insurance on it.
Well, it just amazes me, and I got one more little soapbox to get on about that. The Missouri River flooded one year. And when the waters went down, 47% of the people that lived along the Missouri River actually had flood insurance. They rebuilt all of their stuff, and the Missouri River flooded the next year. And 52% of them that time had flood insurance.